All right, everybody's up and bubbling and talking to each other this morning. That's a good sign. Must be the sunshine. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Church, in case you didn't know. My name is Gary Hart, and I'll be your worship associate today as we seek to represent progressive religious thought and anti-racism practices in the South Bay. If you're new here today, and I do see some new faces, we want you to know we have childcare for preschoolers and religious education for school-age kids. Starts right after the children's moment. We welcome people of all creeds, races, sexual orientations, and gender identities. We remember that this church sits on what was a Tongva land, and we acknowledge that these indigenous people are still among us, and we thank them for this place. And now your favorite part, announcements. Today is a really important gathering after the service. It's our fall financial review. So the board will be here to present where we are in terms of how much money we've spent from the budget and how much we have left and how much you need to start pulling out of your wallets even faster to help us. But that'll be good news. So come and ask your questions. We'll see how we're doing. Also, some more announcements. We will celebrate the Unitarian holiday of luminescence on Saturday, February 10th at 6 p.m. here in the hall. Bring your light and celebrate with us. There'll be potluck food and, as always, probably some music. And another important event, the annual Black and White concert is coming March 2nd at 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary, led by Severin Bennon and Robin Patterson. Yay! Tickets are $25 and will be on sale later this month. It's truly an evening of music you should not miss. Now it's time for our chalice lighting. Today's chalice lighting words are from Jacqueline Olaya. We light this chalice here in the darkness of winter as we wait. This temporary space is one filled with prayers to be answered, love to be given and received, and miracles to be witnessed. May this light guide us until the sun returns again. Sort of here already.
I did look at the weather a couple days ago, and it said it would be cloudy, and I don't think that's what we have. No, it didn't work out that way. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chloe Briede. I'm the Reverend Chloe Briede, and I'm the interim minister here at Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm grateful this morning we have James Morgan with us today, and he's visited us a couple times. He's substituting for Severin graciously this morning. Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Hannah Robert Villeneuve. Here we are again. Where exactly, we might not be sure, and why exactly, we may not agree. So let me state what I know with as much certainty as I can muster. We are not here because life is wonderful. We are here because life is exhilarating, heartbreaking, disorienting, and soul-shaking. We are not here because these people are easy. We are here because we are most human, most humane, when we have another to hold up the mirror and show us the entirety of our possibility. We are not here because we have answers. We are here because we are, each of us, lost and found all at once, seeking grace and showing it, finding our way home together. We are not here because we are unafraid. We are here because we have found that there are fears worth facing, risks worth taking, and that we'd rather not face them, that we'd rather not face life alone. Come, beloveds, and let us worship together, because we don't want to face life alone. Our opening hymn this morning is number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me, and you're invited to stand as you're willing and able.
We're going to do the covenant. We have fans of the covenant. This is a great covenant. This is really important. This is what we live our lives here at this church for. So let's say this out in gusto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now it's time for the story of all ages. Kara will come up and entertain us.
I probably should, yes. Yeah. Oh, and you're all here. Great. Any other kids can come on up if you want. Okay. Okay, so, today we're going to read a story about Tu B'Shvat. I've listened to that over and over again on YouTube. I think I pronounced it correctly, but if anyone is Jewish, they can let me know if I'm not. That is it is a Jewish celebration of trees. It's like their Jewish Arbor Day. And it was on the 25th, so I thought we could, Reverend Chloe had a book about it, so I thought, why not read it? And we can learn about it. So this book is called Netta and Her Plant. And we have slides this time, finally. So. Okay. All right. It's Tu B'Shvat today, the teacher explained. Your name, Netta, means plant. And now is the time to plant. We can plant this seedling together. Netta brought her plant home. Her Ima put it on the small table in the living room. We can take care of it together. Netta liked to play in the living room. She put together puzzles and built a tower with her blocks. Netta tried to make the tower as tall as her plant. Plants like to hear music, said Ima. So Netta sang her favorite songs while she played. The plant grew. Netta grew. It was Tu B'Shvat again. Ima said to Netta, "You are too big for your little bed. It's time to buy you a bigger one." Ima and Abba took Netta to the furniture store. They bought a big girl bed. Netta picked out a quilt covered with trees and plants and flowers. When they got home, Netta looked at her plant. "You are too big for that pot," she said. "You need a bigger pot." So Ima and Abba took Netta to the garden shop to buy a bigger pot. They helped her put the plant in the new pot and add new dirt. Netta took her crayons and drew trees and plants and flowers on a piece of paper and wrapped it around the new pot. The plant grew. Netta grew. Then something surprising happened. Her Ima grew too. Just after school ended for the summer, Netta had a little sister. Her name was Avital. Abba explained that tal is the word for dew. He told her dew helps water plants so they grow. Ima was very busy taking care of Avital, but Netta didn't mind. She was very busy taking care of her plant. Savta came over and helped Netta water the plant by herself without spilling. Then she helped Savta give Avital a drink of water, and she didn't spill any. The plant grew, and Netta grew. One day, Ima and Abba told Netta that they were moving to a new, bigger house. It was too crowded in their apartment. Netta wasn't sure she wanted to move. "It will be okay," Ima said. "In the new house, you will have your own room." Netta told her plant that soon they would be moving. "You don't have to be afraid. It will be okay. And in the new house, you will have your own room." On moving day, Netta hurried to help Ima put her special quilt on the bed in her new bedroom. Then she put the plant on the porch. "You will be the first one to see the sun every morning, she said. The plant grew. Netta grew. The summer was over, and it was time for kindergarten. Netta wasn't sure she wanted to go to a new school. Abba told her that she was big enough and that she would make new friends. Netta went out to the porch to talk to her plant. Its leaves leaned past the edge of the pot, and the sun reached above the railing. "You've grown so much, it's time for you to go live by yourself," Netta said. "Tomorrow, before I start my new school, Abba will help me plant you in a garden where you can make new friends." Netta and Abba put the plant in a big basket. They walked across 2 streets and turned a corner. Behind Netta's new school was a park. They chose a sunny spot and planted Netta's plant beside a tall tree. The plant grew, and Netta grew. On the first day of kindergarten, Netta took a friend to meet her plant. "This is Alana, my new friend," she said to the plant. Alana means tree. "Look at all the trees that grow in this park. They will be your friends. When it is Tu B'Shvat again, the trees will have a birthday, and so will you. Alana and I will come to visit you with all our new friends, and we will have a party." And that is what they did. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Ima, okay. Mommy and Daddy. It looks like these ones were her parents since Ima had a baby, and I guess that's not usually most grandparents. Yes, Ima, yeah, so. Yes, it does, yes. Ima was a young grandma, right? Okay. All right, so we're going to sing out and do some stuff with our miracles today. Thank you.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
It's time for Candles of Joy and Sorrows. So if you would like to come forward, please do so. Our words today come from Scott Phillips. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community.
My name is Sue Cutler.
light one last candle for all the joys and sorrows we carry in our hearts but remain unspoken. In a moment, we're going to do a meditation called Grace by Roshi Joan Halifax. This meditation uses grace as an acronym, inviting us into a practice of setting intentions and giving attention to both our day and to those around us. You can use it in small moments, you can use it when you're facing difficulty, or you can use it just to set an intention for your entire day. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to walk you through this, and I invite you to close your eyes and get comfortable as we walk through this exercise of grace. The first is G. Gather your attention. During difficult times when we might be feeling grief or sadness, or anger or frustration, it's critical to stay centered and grounded. You can take a moment with your eyes closed, perhaps take a big deep breath in and out, and gather your attention. Call your energy back to yourself. Gather your attention. Breathing. Dropping into your body and being still. Breathing. Gather your attention to this present moment. The next is R, the R in grace. Recall your intention. Setting an intention for the day or the week is a wonderful way to stay in the moment, a way to stay true to your values, your purpose, and your spirit. Consider what you might set an intention for today. What might you want to recall throughout the day? What might you want to aspire to? Do you want to be kinder, less critical? Do you want to smile more or breathe more deeply? Do you want to nourish yourself? Or perhaps you want to nourish a friend or reach out to a friend. What intention do you need to recall today? What intention do you need to be reminded of today? The next is attune. Attune to your body. Pay attention to your breath, your thoughts, your feelings and sensations. You might even move around a little bit, shrugging and unshrugging your shoulders, wiggling a little bit to relax. Notice and name feelings in your body. Tension, perhaps. Tightness. Light. Cool. Maybe your heart's racing. Thoughts are spinning. Hands are clenched or tingling. Notice. Take an easy breath in and out, and keep it simple. What are you feeling today? There's no need to engage in any stories or explanations or narratives. Simply the words. Notice and name. Explore your body and attune. Mindful awareness of what is happening in and around your body is a powerful way to stay grounded. It's also a powerful antidote to panic and fear. Keeping it simple, noticing and naming, attuning, helps you stay out of your negative and fearful thoughts. Even as we set an intention, it's important to check in with our bodies and bring ourselves back to the present moment. Staying grounded helps us put our intentions into action. What can you notice and name about your body right now? The C in grace is consider the present moment. Consider the present moment. What is true right now? What do you need to consider right now as you work to set intentions? If your intention is toward kindness, do you need to remind yourself of a kind person you aspire to be like? That friend who's always kind, perhaps aspiring to be like them. If your intention is towards nourishment, what is true in that? Perhaps you need to put your phone away for a while, nourishing your mind with silence or a good book. Perhaps you need to slow down as you eat, feeling gratitude for the nourishment of your body. What do you need to consider for your intention? The last is E, engage. How will you engage with others this week? You are a part of a bigger world, and your actions make a difference. How might you engage with the world? How might that fit with your intention towards kindness, or nourishment, or breathing, or connecting, or stillness? How might you engage your intention? May we remember to have grace, gathering attention, recalling intentions, attuning to ourselves, considering the present moment, and finally engaging the world around us. May we have grace. Amen. Our reading today is called Grace, and it's from the book Recovering Place by Mark C. Taylor. When now and again a stone falls into a place that is utterly inevitable, master craftsman Dan Snow reflects, I feel like I'm suddenly standing under a shower of grace. For an instant, I become inevitable too. I share the compatibility that stone finds with stone. If I'm lucky, it happens a lot. Then again, some days it doesn't happen at all. Grace may fall in the next moment or never again. I know only that if I put myself with stone, it may happen again. And Mark Taylor continues, although seemingly inevitable après coup afterwards, grace is always gratuitous, completely a matter of chance. It cannot be anticipated or earned, nor can the moment of grace be prescribed, programmed, or planned. Arriving as a total surprise, grace turns the world upside down. Eternity enters time to disrupt without displacing, what long has seemed settled. Grace, like a rose, a stone, or even life itself, is without why, and thus remains forever incomprehensible. If there was a proper response to grace, he says, it would be mute astonishment. Our centering hymn this morning is number 362. Yeah, we're going to do this 4 times. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, hidden and joy. When I was in high school, I had terrible stage fright. My voice would shake, my stomach would hurt, my hands would tremble. I also happened to play violin, and the sweet music director at my church wanted to get the youth involved and invited me to play in the service. I played probably a song deeply ingrained in me from my Suzuki training, but my hands shook and I got off rhythm. It was altogether a lackluster performance, and I hung my head in shame. Although I vowed not to play violin at church again anytime soon, my small UU church in Newport News, Virginia, gave me a supportive round of applause and didn't seem to think much of it. Despite the shame I had felt at that moment, I returned to church every Sunday to attend services and go to youth group. My church loved me not for my ability or inability to play the violin in front of a crowd, but instead as one of its kids, worthy of love just as I was. A quick definition of grace is courteous goodwill. My church showed me courteous goodwill. They could tell I was not comfortable in front of an audience and clapped for my bravery and for their simple love of me. Their grace overtook any perfectionism. Perfectionism they may have harbored concerning music in their service, and perfectionism I may have felt, especially as I partook in an inner shame cycle concerning my solo performance. I can't help but think of this as grace, as an act of unexpected goodwill or a gift towards someone. Grace sitting or standing right there in opposition to perfectionism. Grace says, whoever you are right now is okay, and we love you still, even if you are imperfect. It's an unexpected gift of goodwill, of kindness. The churches I've felt most at home in are big on grace. I attended a church in Boston occasionally where the minister would usually start services 10 minutes late. No one seemed to mind. In fact, it jived with the sort of scrappy persona of that particular place. An urban church big on dreams and often short on money. with kids running through the pews in the moments before services, and this exuberance only found in a place of magical chaos. The church I grew up in also seemed to have that grace-filled energy. The speakers laughed at their mistakes along with attendees, and perfection never seemed to be the goal. It was about gathering. It was about seeing each other and loving each other and making space for the unexpected gifts of kindness and goodwill we would find in our interactions with each other. I even heard a story of grace recently about here at PUC. Someone said they were having a hard time and they unexpectedly got flowers and cake from someone at church. Can you imagine that? That little act of grace, flowers and cake showing up at your door when you're not feeling good. Philip Yancey, in his book, What's So Amazing About Grace, spends some time on the word grace. He says this about it, and it's related to words like gratitude and grateful. It's in that family. He says, many people say grace before meals, acknowledging daily bread as a gift from God and the earth. We are grateful for someone's kindness, gratified by good news, congratulated when successful, gracious in hosting friends. When a person's service pleases us, we leave a gratuity. In each of these uses, I hear a pang of childlike delight in the undeserved. A composer of music may add grace notes to the score, though not essential to the melody. They are gratuitous. These notes add a flourish whose presence would be missed. When I first attempted a piano sonata by Beethoven or Schubert, he says, I play it through a few times without the grace notes. The sonata carries along, but oh, what a difference it makes when I'm able to add the grace notes, which season the piece like savory spices. For Christians, grace is one of the deepest principles of their faith. They preach and believe in God's grace and forgiveness of mistakes and imperfections, believing that God's courteous goodwill extends beyond to all people who need it. Perhaps the most well-known teachings about grace come from the parables found in Luke 15, particularly the story of the prodigal son. A father has two sons. The oldest son is very loyal. The son works with him and cares for him and stays home. And the other one takes his inheritance and goes out into the world. When he squanders his money and is left destitute, he returns to his father. The father, overjoyed at his return, celebrates with a feast. The older son is angry that his user and wanderer younger brother gets such a positive reception, complaining that he had been there the whole time. The father acknowledges the older son's devotion and says it is also good to celebrate the one they thought they had lost. The father shows great unexpected grace and forgiveness in that moment. And it's often interpreted in the Christian tradition that God will show that same grace and forgiveness to anyone who returns to God. I think it has some universalist leanings there, a kind of open forgiveness or a saving of everyone. Grace, though, isn't just a Christian concept. It isn't a concept that Christianity can claim exclusive rights to. Something I've always found fascinating is new religious movements, especially those that have come out of East Asia. The UU part of my brain that's always fascinated with religion loves the idea that there are so many of these religious movements that we're unfamiliar with. This was highlighted to me by a friend from divinity school who who was a practitioner of a new Japanese religion focused on light as a source of healing. He gifted me some of this fascination with these movements by talking with him. Another one of these new religious movements is Won Buddhism. It has sort of a more famous cousin, which is Soka Gakko International, a Japanese group. But Won Buddhism is a form of Buddhism from Korea that incorporates teachings from a modern teacher or prophet. So it takes Buddhist teachings and then some modern teachings. Some would argue that these groups are Buddhist, and others would put them strictly in the new religious category. But that isn't a debate that's important to us at the moment. Won Buddhism makes grace one of its central tenets. Their understanding of grace is that it refers to the indispensable relationship among all things. They believe that grace can be found almost everywhere, and our job is to be grateful for the graces given to us by the world. They appreciate or have gratitude for 4 categories of grace. The first is heaven and earth, the universe and nature. The second is parents and teachers and those who have educated and helped us survive in this world. The third is all fellow beings. And the last, or the fourth, is the law, or in Buddhist terms, the teachings, what we might call knowledge. The Won understanding of grace is to see gifts given to us by the world and others, and to have gratitude for them, and to give that grace right on back, just as strongly as we have gotten it. Grace is giving and receiving blessings and courteous goodwill from all around us, whether that grace is forgiveness, love, material gifts, teachings, or even just the sunlight that blesses us this morning. These are all graces, unexpected blessings. Philip Yancey, who wrote that book on grace, reminded me of the story of Babette's Feast by the Danish author Karen Blixen. Blixen weaves the story of 2 sisters who are devoted to their father, an austere religious leader of a conservative Christian sect in Norway. The sisters each have their misadventures with love and end up living together and caring for their father until his death. Even after his death, they carry on the tradition of feeding the sick and poor and ministering to their flock through singing and prayers. One day, a French woman named Babette appears on their doorstep. She is a refugee from the French Revolution and asks for a place to stay in exchange for work. At first, the sisters think they can't afford a maid, but Babette is willing to just work for her keep. For over 10 years, she stays as the sisters' maid, learning to cook the salted cod and the beer bread soup that was common in Norway, and to fill pails of each to feed the sick and the poor. One day, Babette learns that she has won the lottery in France, a tidy sum that would help her make her way home. Babette takes the money and contacts her nephew, who is sailing between France and Norway. She requests some goods from him and plans a feast, a French feast in honor of the sisters' father and his 100th birthday. And although the feast was an amazing celebration, you guys can all imagine maybe what you'd see in a French feast, this austere Norwegian community didn't really know what to make of it. They enjoyed it, but they were a bit perplexed by the fancy dishes and the expensive champagne. After the celebration, the sisters asked Babette if she will leave to go home to France. She had, in fact, won the lottery. Babette calmly explains that she had spent her winnings on the feast. Her wish as a former cook in the great restaurants of Paris had been to be an artist in the kitchen again and treat her friends. She had no intention of going home, where she has no friends anymore, and planned to remain with the sisters and their village forever. A physical example of grace, an unexpected gift of an artisan meal given to a poor community in Norway as thanks for taking her in so many years ago. Babette's feast was an act of grace. Beloveds, we could all use a little more grace in our lives. Sometimes that grace comes in the form of a community of friends who do not expect you to be perfect. Perhaps instead, they appreciate beautiful imperfections and love you just the way you are. Sometimes it comes as an unexpected gift or thank you, like a French feast cooked to perfection for a Norwegian community with no idea really what to make of it. And sometimes grace is just the blessing of life itself, our teachers and caretakers, knowledge, our fellow humans, and the beauty of the earth and sky, giving us great unexpected gifts and blessings. May we pass on grace to all we meet and celebrate with gratitude those unexpected blessings we encounter on the way. May it be so. Amen.
Now it's the IRS's favorite part of the service, the offertory. I just want to remind you, we're going to talk about money twice today. After the service is our fall financial review, so come in and find out where the board has been spending all this money. And I have for you today another untrue story that never took place. I'm sure you all remember a while back when Margot decided to hold a bake sale to raise funds for PUC. On the bake sale counter, she put a sign up that read, "Cupcakes, $9 a dozen, $30 for 3 dozen." Bob Monzingo approached Margot, working the counter, and exclaimed, "That's absurd. It's cheaper to buy each dozen individually. Don't you get it?" Margot smiled patiently and asked if that's what Bob wanted to do. He said, "Yes," and points to Margot that he has saved $3 by purchasing the 3 dozen individually. Once again, Margot smiles patiently, and after he leaves, she leaves over to Chloe and says, "I told you I could get him to buy more than a dozen, don't I?" Please give generously.
Our closing hymn this morning is number 205, Amazing Grace, and you're invited to stand as you're willing and able. And you can stay standing. This is great. And you're welcome to grab onto someone next to you if you'd like, or give yourself a hug, or take a seat. Whatever feels good to you guys. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversities, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. And blessed be. And now our service truly begins. Now it's time for James. What are his names? James. Forgot his name. James Morgan. Thank you, James.